What's shaking, cocktail fans? I'm Modern Bar Cart CEO Eric Kozlik, and I'm coming to you today with a quick tutorial on how to up your garnish game at home. And this is specifically working with citrus. So I'm going to offer 3 really easy things you can do to make those garnishes just a little bit better. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is trimming your citrus twists. A citrus twist is one of those garnishes that you're going to use in a classic cocktail like a Negroni, an Old Fashioned, a Manhattan, a Martini. And basically you're taking one kind of nice long peel off of a citrus fruit, and then you're expressing those citrus oils over the drink, so it's kind of a flavor and aroma component. And then in many cases you just drop that citrus twist right into the drink as a visual garnish as well. Now I'm going to take this grapefruit here, take a nice large peel off of it as such. And this is a good blank canvas that we can work on. So kind of ugly, right? Not the most attractive thing in the world. One thing I like to do is kind of trim the sides of the twist. Give it that nice, straight, clean, curated look. So you're already starting to see this looks a lot more engineered, right? And I'm gonna give it an additional little piece of flair by giving it some kind of diagonal edges. So what you see here is citrus twist, looks kind of like Tennessee, I guess. And this is gonna act just like a regular citrus twist. You're gonna be able to express those essential oils right over your drink, but then when it sits in the drink, it's gonna look a lot more interesting and a lot more curated than something that you just cut right off the citrus fruit. So tip number 1, trim your citrus twists. Now, the next thing I want to talk about involves a tool, and it's a pretty commonly available, relatively inexpensive tool called a channel knife. This is a channel knife made by OXO, which is a kind of a food hardware manufacturer here in the US, and it has this really cool little groove. And the way you use a channel knife is you basically take your citrus fruit, in this case we're going to use a lime, and you dig that little kind of shovel-shaped blade into the citrus fruit, and you kind of go in a nice little cyclonic fashion around the fruit, and you get this beautiful, slender sliver of a citrus ribbon. Now, there are some problems with the citrus ribbon in that it's kind of just a line. You know, are you just going to kind of drape it over? I mean, this looks technically okay, but it could be better. So one of the things I like to do with my citrus twists is I like to take these little ribbons and teach them what shape they should be. And so I'm here using this stainless steel straw, and I'm kind of bending it around, wrapping it, and there's a couple things that allow this little ribbon to maintain the shape that you teach it. One is that there's still some water left in the pith, and then also there's some oils left in the skin itself, so it can actually retain a form. So when you do this, you hold it for a minute, and then you've got this beautiful citrus kind of spring-like coiled shape that actually retains that form. And you can see that when you sit this on the rim of a glass, it actually stays there. And so it's not going to be kind of swinging around, hitting the person drinking the cocktail in the face. It's not going to be making a mess. It's just this beautiful kind of curated citrus ribbon. So these are made, again, using a channel knife. And one other feature that I really like about this channel knife is it has a little zester on it. So maybe if you're making some creamier cocktails in the colder months, something like an eggnog or maybe a flip, and you want to actually, grate a little bit of grapefruit zest right on there, this little tool will do that for you. Also works with chocolate, it's really good. So the last thing I want to talk about, we've talked about trimming the twists, we've talked about using a channel knife to curate those really interesting little citrus ribbons that we shape using a cylindrical long tool here. The last thing I want to talk about is actually dehydrating citrus wheels. Now, I've got some here that we made last night, and it's actually very easy to make a dehydrated citrus wheel like this. All you need to do is slice your citrus into 1/4 to 1/2 inch slices. If you go much thicker than that, it's going to take them a long time to dehydrate. So make sure you go thin, but not so thin that it's like a paper film. You still want something to be there when all of the water dries up. And then you arrange them on a baking sheet with parchment paper, and you stick them in the oven. Now the cool thing is you don't even have to turn on the oven. You just need to turn on the oven light. So let's say it's 8 p.m. on a weeknight. I throw in a tray of my citrus wheels. I turn on that oven light, and then when I wake up in the morning, I check it, and you've got a whole array of beautifully dried out citrus wheels. I love doing these because you can prep them ahead of time and you can just leave them out. So if you have like a DIY, make your own cocktail setup at a party, these are excellent to just throw in a bowl and your guests can just garnish as they please. So to review, 3 great things you can do with citrus peels to really up your game at home. 1, start trimming those citrus twists. Number 2, pick up a channel knife. They're really inexpensive, less than 10 bucks for sure. And then you can start doing a little bit more creative, thinner garnishes. And then finally, start dehydrating some citrus wheels. It's easy to do, it's cheap, and you get a lot of street cred for the kind of crafty side of things. It's really not that difficult. So I thought, since we're at the end of our tutorial here, that we'd actually make a cocktail and use our dehydrated citrus wheels as a garnish. Our featured cocktail is a tequila sour. And in this cocktail, we're featuring this beautiful little bottle here. It is a Mi Campo Reposado tequila made with 100% de agave. And just to break down those 2 label terms for you really quick, reposado basically means it was rested for a little while in barrels to give it a little bit of a deeper flavor, just to kind of distinguish it from the lighter, brighter silver tequilas. Okay? And 100% de agave is actually a really important kind of quality indicator in tequilas. And basically it means that instead of cutting it with a grain neutral spirit or some other kind of cheaper alcohol, they're using 100% agave hearts. So keep an eye out for that claim next time you go to the liquor store. So in this tequila sour, we're going to add 2 ounces of our tequila to our Boston shaker tin. Then we're going to add 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, and I've got this pre-measured. Beautiful. All right. So we've got our spirit and our sweet. Now it's time for our sour. Now you can use lemons or limes in sour cocktails. There's going to be a slight flavor difference between the 2, but since we're working with tequila, I figured we would use lime. So we're going to juice this with our hand press to get a full 1 ounce of citrus juice. So to review, 2 ounces of your spirit, 3/4 of an ounce of your sweet, and now a full ounce of your acid. That's kind of a basic sour ratio. You can kind of apply that across spirits and across acids and across sugars, and you're going to get somewhat of an equivalent outcome. Now, a couple of flourishes that we're adding in here. One would be our Typhoon Tiki Bitters, which is a great pairing with any New World spirit like rum or agave spirits. You can pick up a bottle of these over at modernbarcarp.com. The other thing that we're adding is near and dear to my heart. It's an egg white. Now, some people kind of get a little squeamish when they hear that egg whites are getting added to their cocktails. I'll put it this way, if you've never had a beautiful egg white sour, if you've never experienced that kind of silky cloud-like texture of the foam, you're really missing out. So if you're a little squeamish, maybe steal a sip from somebody sitting next to you next time you see it at a bar, but I guarantee it, once you try it, you'll be hooked. So we're gonna add 1 pre-measured egg white to our shaker, and we're gonna begin mixing this with kind of an unusual instruction, which is to shake without ice. This is called a dry shake, and the reason why we're doing this is because there are 2 things that kind of inhibit that beautiful white creamy foam from taking place in a cocktail, and those things are dilution and coldness, both kind of side effects of adding ice. So we're gonna give it a good shake before we add that ice. Then we're gonna add the ice in and shake again. Again, that's called a dry shake. The only downside to this is that you kind of gotta get a real good grip on the tins, because without the ice, you don't get as good of a vacuum lock on this. So if you're not holding it carefully, it's gonna be a little messy. So you give that a good shake. And one of the things that you're gonna find as you continue to shake this is that the kind of the feel and the sound of it is gonna change as the proteins in these egg whites denature, right? That's what causes those kind of three-dimensional foam bubbles. It's the proteins breaking down. So once you start to hear and feel that happening in the shaker, you know that you've given your egg whites a good enough head start to then go ahead and add the ice. And I'm just about there, right? I'll try and show you here. We've got a really nice head kind of building in the shaking tin. So I'm going to go ahead, add 2 large rocks here, give it another shake. This one's going to create a nice vacuum seal for me, so I don't need to be as nervous. Right, so you can see the sides of the tin are kind of frosting up there. You know it's cold enough. Give it a nice smack, break that seal. Grab your Hawthorne strainer. These little wires help any ice chips kind of stay in the tin. And we're going to strain it right into our beautiful stemmed coupe glass here. You can see that nice, beautiful, frothy head coming right out of there from the egg white. And then the whole purpose of this, the whole reason we're featuring this cocktail, is so I can reach over here to my beautiful plate of dehydrated citrus wheels and garnish this cocktail just like this. I'm Modern Bar Cart CEO Eric Kozlik. If you want to learn more about Modern Bar Cart, you can head over to modernbarcart.com, check out all of our great products. You can also subscribe to our podcast, the Modern Bar Cart Podcast. We drop new episodes live every Thursday, and it is absolutely my privilege to just ask you to drink responsibly and experiment boldly. Cheers.